It's interesting. Steve Kerr started Curry, right? He was going through.
Oh no, come on, Looney crossovers. Yeah, it's gonna wrap it up.
So yeah, I was wrong. A few weeks ago, I made a video talking about the Golden State Warriors and basically just the landscape of the team and what I thought about the roster moving forward as we approach preseason. But now that preseason is over and we've seen the first couple games played out, I'm confident in saying that this is going to be a very good team. Now, it's not that I didn't think that this would be a good team coming into the year. I just didn't think they would be as good as they could turn out to be. We saw a handful of things throughout preseason that were worth addressing, but it isn't nearly as much as I thought I was going to be talking about. So first things first, Chris Paul and his minutes with the starting unit, or his starting rotation, pretty much. Throughout preseason and throughout the first few games, Chris Paul has been playing a lot more minutes than he probably will at a later point in the season when Draymond Green is back, which, by the way, should be very soon, if not by the time you're seeing this. But he's been playing a lot of minutes, and he's been playing a lot of minutes with the starters, which I was concerned about originally because of the fast-paced play that he was going to have to keep up with players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, guys like that. But after seeing preseason and seeing how they kind of scattered the minutes around, it's definitely not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. There was an adjustment period for him, and that was apparent by the amount of turnovers that he was averaging throughout the first few games of preseason. But that problem has seemed to work itself out, as now in the first 2 games of the season, which is when this is being recorded, Chris Paul has 21 assists and 4 turnovers. And that's really gonna be a huge thing moving forward, especially as he gets more minutes with the bench. The main problem that Golden State was dealing with last season, the non-Steph minutes and the turnovers, he is going to be helping out a lot with that. And that's something that we kind of figured, but it's not something that we would have thought would be as prevalent as it has been, given that he is spending so much time with the faster pace unit. But of course, as he gets relegated to that bench role, it is going to really help the team out a lot. But Chris Paul has been helping, so much so that the Warrior fans chanted CP3 during the first game against the Phoenix Suns, and that is something that I never thought that I would be saying in my entire life. And yet, here we are. Something else noteworthy about the Kings game, Klay Thompson's shooting performance. Now, he's been one of the biggest question marks about this entire team coming into the season, mainly because of the contract situation, and this is basically a contract year for him, and he wants an extension, but neither side has made any progress, apparently, which I personally think that is not going to be the case for as long as people are making it out to be. Some people think that Klay Thompson is going to go into free agency next season. I don't think that that's gonna be the reality, but of course I don't know, but it just would make more sense to me if they were able to work something out during the season. I tweeted a couple weeks ago that Klay saw how the media treated KD in 2019 in his contract year, and that wasn't even a contract year, it was a player option year for him, and they were still in every single press conference asking him about it almost every night. Klay's a chill guy, he does not want to go through all that. At least I would think not. Even then, the fact that I want Klay signed to an extension, that doesn't mean that I want him signed to a max. Like, I feel like that's where a lot of the disconnect between fans is happening right now. We just want Klay under contract. That's really it. And throughout preseason, he definitely wasn't making his case any better. He did have a few really bad shooting nights in preseason. He shot 6 for 18 on opening night, but he did bounce back in the Kings game. He shot 7 of 13. But the one thing that has been constant with him coming into the season has been the defensive effort that he's given. In the video I made a couple weeks ago, I said this. Oh yeah, and by the way, adding on to that, talks of Klay Thompson defending power forwards this season. So in a season where you have Draymond Green, well, not right now, but where you have Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins in the lineup, Klay Thompson is going to be guarding the 4. Or at least he's going to be more comfortable guarding the 4. With all due respect, no. No, because at the time it didn't seem like he was going to be able to, given the injuries that he had dealt with and also the offensive load that he was going to be carrying now that Jordan Poole is not there anymore, or at least we thought. And so I just kind of wrote that idea completely off, but he has definitely shown to be a positive defender in certain situations. The Suns game, he played some minutes at the 4 and he was guarding KD, and he actually played some pretty solid defense on Kevin Durant. Obviously, he's not going to get crazy contests on a Kevin Durant jump shot. Not many people can, but like these are all makeable shots for KD, but it's just he's making it more difficult for him, and that's really all you can ask for against a player like him. So he has been pretty promising on defense, actually, which is something that I was not expecting, but is of course great to see. And as we saw last season, the shots will eventually start falling again. I think all he needs to do is just take a kayak trip under the Golden Gate Bridge or something, or whatever he does, and we'll be good. But overall, pretty promising start to the season, even though it didn't result in a win on opening night, which, by the way, was not really a concerning loss in the slightest. The Suns did not have Bradley Beal, but the Warriors didn't have Draymond Green, and it was a very winnable game had they made even 4 of the makeable shots that they had missed like in the first half. Chris Paul, 4 for 15, Klay Thompson, 6 for 18, Andrew Wiggins, 4 for 12, Steph Curry, 8 for 20, and Dario Saric, 3 for 11. GP2, 0 for 5. That type of shooting night is not gonna happen that often. And when it does, their defense held up enough for them to be able to win the game. They just weren't able to pull it out, which I feel like is something that is a noticeable improvement over last season, because it seemed like there would be times where they would have a bad shooting night, but then they would just take more bad shots, and then boom, more transition opportunities being ran against you, more points being given up, more bad shots, and then it's just a vicious cycle. So I don't think that they'll have any situations like that, given that Chris Paul is now a facilitator on the roster, and so that loss wasn't really that concerning to me, and I said that at the time. The very next game, the Warriors won their first road game of the season, which is very different from last season and could be a positive sign of things to come. Like I said before, De'Aaron Fox did have a massive fourth quarter, but it wasn't really anything concerning either. It was just, he's literally just that good. They did do a really good job of slowing down everybody else, as De'Aaron Fox had 22 of the Kings' 30 points in the fourth quarter. The Kings, outside of De'Aaron Fox, shot 3 for 12, with those 3 makes coming from Domantas Sabonis and JaVale McGee. So in the paint, which I feel is going to be a topic that's going to come up at a later date, but I don't think it's going to be as prevalent a topic as it was last season. Of course, I'm talking about the Warriors' lack of size at certain points during the game. Stephen Curry came into that game and he did exactly what he did in Game 7, only way more efficiently. He dropped 41 points, 14 for 19 from the field, which, by the way, wasn't even the highest scoring game of the night. We'll probably talk about that another time, but he's very much already in mid-season form. He just doesn't like this team for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on there, but that's about it for the main stars. We now move on to Year 3 Moody and Year 3 Kuminga, who have looked absolutely just incredible throughout preseason and throughout these first couple games. Kuminga is going to be taking a huge scoring leap, I feel like, this season, and that was evident from preseason. He definitely looks more comfortable out on the floor. He seems to be getting to his spots easier, and he looks like he's starting to figure out actually how much size and strength that he actually has. And so that should be very interesting to see moving forward, and it should be an interesting dynamic defensively as well. Speaking of defense, Moses Moody has also looked incredible. He's gotten 3 steals in both of the first 2 games that they played, and he's hitting his 3-pointers. And so he has been really valuable to this team throughout the first couple games. I have no idea why it took the team this long to realize how valuable he actually is and how much impact he could have, but I'm glad that they are finally seeing it. GP2 is still one of the best defenders in the league, my second favorite player in the league, so obviously whatever I'm about to say about him is completely unbiased. He has looked really great, especially with the switches onto other players like KD. He contested a couple of shots, but overall, just everything that you would be expecting from him, he's doing. The full court pressing, the steals, the vertical, it's all there, and glad to see him completely healthy. Now, the thing to keep in mind is the fact that the Warriors are doing this. They're being competitive with teams like the Suns, like the Kings, who are going to be very tough teams in the Western Conference this season. Draymond Green hasn't played yet in preseason or in the regular season. That could have changed by the time you've seen this, but he hasn't played yet and they look like this. The question then becomes, what is this team going to look like when he gets back? You take into account GP2's defense, Klay's improvement on defense, the defense that you're going to get from Wiggins. And of course, you now have Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga providing a lot of effort on that end as well. And then you add Draymond Green. The Warriors are currently ranked 13th in defense, which I wouldn't even really take that into account because it's 2 games, but they have a defensive rating of about 107 through 2 games. I'm curious to see what that is going to look like at, say, the 20 game mark with Draymond Green back in the lineup, because I think that there will still be an adjustment period for Draymond playing with this team and playing with Chris Paul, but I don't think it'll take that long. It will just be a time period. This team, you can still think that they may make the finals or win the title, and you obviously can go the other way and say maybe not, but I feel like they are definitely going to give themselves a way better chance this season than they ever did last season. Last season, it was pretty apparent by about February that they were not going to be doing anything of value. I don't see that fate for this roster. The issues that they've been experiencing have been largely the same issues that they've been dealing with for who knows how long, mainly the turnovers. And of course, Chris Paul is about to help with that a little bit, but they're still going to average a lot. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be as damaging this season due to Chris Paul and due to just the way that he's gonna slow the game down. Another thing that I definitely noticed throughout the last month or so, the Warriors have a much smaller emphasis on 3-pointers. And that's been pretty apparent from the first preseason game. They've not taken nearly as many. And so I do believe that that is also another reason why they are playing better, because a lot of threes being taken means a lot of long rebounds, a lot of transition, and that is where they were losing a lot of their games last season. And so it definitely seems like that is going to be helping them as well. They're going to take a lot of threes. They're Golden State. They have the 2 greatest shooters in the history of the game, but it's not going to be the type of shooting nights that they were having last season where they were taking 50, 60 threes a game and making 13, 14. It's not going to be like that. They've been going downhill a lot more. Jonathan Kuminga, like I said before, Chris Paul has been taking his patented mid-ranges. It overall just looks like a more well-rounded offense than last season, rather than, you know, just the 3-pointer or layup type of philosophy that they had. So that's also going to be another thing to keep in mind throughout the season. But of course, we won't truly know what this team looks like until Draymond Green is back, so I'll probably be back with another video in about a month and a half or so to see where they are. But as of right now, they look really good, and I am pretty confident. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Damn, that was great. Wow.
Oh my god.
Brother.
Heavy turnover.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.